Hi, my name is Ruth Duran. I'm a certified life coach. I help businesswomen make more money without working any harder or longer. And I am the host of this group. Thank you for being a member of this group. And I am just going to check my volume just to see how it's working. And so today I wanted to come on and I wanted to share with you a workshop that I have worked on and that I have presented multiple times, but I wanted to share it with you on here to learn how you may be working harder or longer than necessary to create your goals. And the way that we work harder or longer, people may think that they work harder or longer because they're looking at maybe the number of actions that they're taking or the number of things that they're doing. Okay, so I have volume. So a lot of people might think that it's the things that I'm actually doing. It's if you think that it's the actual actions that I'm taking that is creating the result that I want, or that is making me work longer or harder. And so somebody might say, well, I just need to take less actions, but that is not always the case. What needs to happen is we need to identify what is creating. Number one, taking a lot of actions or taking a lot of time or doing a lot of things and not creating the goal that you want. What is it that is in the way of you creating your goal? And some of them are so sneaky that we don't even know that we're working harder than we could. We don't even know that we're putting a lot more effort. And so I want to share with you this screen and and what this is a PowerPoint that I hope you can see it. Okay. And so many of us, especially the people that I attract, we work harder than necessary. We take a lot more actions than we really need to be taking. But we don't understand what is the root cause of the actions that we're taking. What is causing us to it's not just the actions, what is causing us to think harder, think more, create a ton of thoughts, feel a ton of feelings or not feel a ton of feelings, and take a ton of actions and still not create the results that we want. My clients will come to me and they will be exhausted, sometimes even burnt out, and also a lot of times ready and willing to let go of their dreams and their goals because they're thinking that I'm working so hard, I'm exhausted, I'm frustrated. It's not, what I'm doing is not creating the result that I want. So if I need to create more of the result that I want, I'm going to have to work harder, take more actions, do a lot more things. And this is already hard. So I don't want to do anything harder to create my results. So they just go, well, maybe business is not for me. Maybe this goal I want is not for me. And they want to abandon that goal. And I always advise them on not to abandon their goal. And I ask them, what we need to do is we need to identify what is their current thought, feeling, and action cycle. What are the current thoughts that they have about themselves, about their business, about their audience, about their clients, about their capabilities, about their capacity to do things, their belief in so many things, and then identifying where can we make tweaks and adjustments. And once we think very differently about ourselves, we will take very different actions. Beliefs are just thoughts that we have thought over and over again. So many people will tell me, well, that is just a fact. My friend, a belief is just a thought that you have believed over and over again. The fact that you don't believe in yourself, the fact that you don't believe in your capabilities is not a fact. We can find places and things that you have done where you have believed in yourself. And when we analyze that, we can see how your belief had you taking maybe very different actions? Had you evaluating obstacles? Had you telling yourself a very different story when you experience obstacles? Having you trying different angles, looking at it from very different perspectives and trying things that eventually worked. So belief is just a thought that you've kept on thinking. And because it's just a thought, we can identify what is your current thought. And then on purpose, change that thought, that's changing that belief, which will feel very different feelings and very different actions. And when we start believing in ourselves, we notice that it's not even the number of words that we say. It is the energy that we project. And so if I went from believing that I cannot make 10K months, and so I maybe felt discouraged and I probably did a couple of things and didn't get the result that I wanted, or I didn't get maybe that external validation from my clients, then I would go, see, I told you, I can't do it. However, if I believed it was possible for me to create 10K months, I believed it was possible for me to do X, Y, and Z, I would think very different thoughts. I would feel very, very different feelings, and I would take very, very different actions. So for example, I might encounter the exact same obstacle, but I believe that this is for me. I believe it is happening for me. I believe it is possible. And I just look at the obstacle and I make it mean it's here maybe to teach me something. And so then I take different actions, like even evaluating and question, okay, I really thought that would work. Why did it not? Versus if I did not believe in myself, I would abandon it completely. And so my clients, when they want to abandon their goal, is because they don't believe they can have it. The work is not to take more actions. The work is to work on your beliefs. Find out where your disbelief is and change them into beliefs, and see how naturally your feelings and your actions start evolving. The second thing that I noticed that cost my clients a lot of time, energy, and effort is mind drama. Mind drama is just the exaggerated stories that our brains come up with on a daily basis. Mind drama doesn't mean that you've done anything wrong or you're wrong. Everybody experiences mind drama, especially when they're going for a very big goal, especially when they're going out of their comfort zone. And so mind drama is the stories that our brains come up with. And the stories are just thoughts. They're not facts. They're just thoughts that our brains come up with. And so when a client might have experience, set a very big goal, I'm going to use the $10,000 a month example. A client believes that goal, and then the client decides, I'm going to go for this goal. And their brain now is, for example, scared. It's never done it before. It has to stretch. It has to think differently, feel differently, take different actions. There's uncertainty, there's doubt. And when we are in mind drama, we will believe the uncertainty and the doubt. Mind drama comes out where our brain wants us to go back into the cave. Our brain wants us to go to where it's comfortable and what it thinks it's safe. And so it might bring up fear. And so when we understand what is facts and what is just mind drama, what is just thoughts, what is just exaggerated stories, and be able to separate them, what we're able to do is then understand, when I think these thoughts, these are the way I feel, this is what I do. But when I really question that thought, or I really decide to feel something different, these are the thoughts and the feelings and the actions that are naturally created. And so when sometimes, like one of the mind dramas that my clients will have is they think that they're broken and they need to be fixed. They think there's something inherently wrong with them that they need to fix. And they'll spend a lot of time fixing them, but they don't need to be fixed. There's nothing inherently wrong with you. You are amazing, you're worthy, you're valuable. And so they can take that time and energy that they were spending trying to fix them and use that time and energy and actions to actually create a goal. And so understanding what the mind drama is, what's causing the mind drama, and how to change it and how to address it with new thoughts, feelings, and actions creates so much more of the result that you want. And so you might end up taking the same quote unquote number of actions, but one will keep you stuck, stagnant, and struggling. The other one will have you creating and guaranteeing the results that you want. The third thing that I noticed with my clients is fear of emotions. For me, emotions was something that I really needed to work on. Emotions was something that I really tried to avoid. I had a thought that there was something like big, deep, painful emotions. Those, my friends, are just thoughts. There's no such thing as a painful, deep, big emotion. There's nothing that makes one emotion bigger than the other. There are just emotions. And so we might have been brought up in a culture or brought up watching our parents or watching our adults in our lives avoiding their emotions. Like, for example, avoiding shame of other people's opinions. And so they might go into overdrive, take a ton of action to try to avoid that feeling of shame. Or we might think that we can avoid the feeling of fear. And so what we do is we try to avoid feeling that fear. We try to take a ton of actions to avoid feeling that fear. Or we might not want to feel disappointed, or we might not want to feel a certain emotion because we're afraid, if I feel disappointed, I'm not going to want to work on my business again. I'm going to be devastated and I'm never going to want to work on my business. So I'm going to resist feeling that disappointment. But my friends, emotions are wisdom. Emotions are just our body telling us that it has experienced a thought. Our body just is communicating, you have a thought. And so I'm now feeling a sensation in my body. You've had a thought like going, I can't do this. And then you feel disappointed. And so being able to feel our emotions and understanding that emotions are not the problem. In fact, all our emotions fuel all our actions. And so, like, belief is an emotion. I remember when I first sat with belief, that emotion felt very scary, just like scared, just like fear for me. And so when I really sat with it and was curious about that feeling of belief, I started to notice that there was so many other stories attached to it and so much more awareness that then I was able to clean up like mind drama or disbelief in things, or disbelief in me, disbelief in other things like my clients, my audience, etc. And so being able to feel that emotion created an whole awareness of different things that I didn't even know. And so when my clients, especially when they're very, very smart and have learned a lot of things and they're taking a lot of action, that's an indication that they're avoiding feeling their emotions. They're afraid of an emotion. And we want to find out, what is that fear of that emotion? What is that story? What is that thought process that they have about that emotion? The fourth thing that I noticed that caused my clients to work harder than necessary are thought errors or thinking errors. And so, for example, the one I gave about emotions. If I think they're big, scary, big emotions, they're painful emotions, it's a thought error. And so I'm going to avoid feeling my emotions. But once we identify what is our current thought, what is that thought, the feeling that thought is fueling, and what actions is that thought creating and having us do, and what is the result that that's creating. So being able to identify what are the thought errors. And so many of my clients will come to me and they'll say something and they'll think it's a fact, but it's just a thought. We've believed it so long. People in our lives have told us about it. People in our lives have shown us this, and we may think it's a fact. So for example, a lot of my clients will say that I just need to take a ton of action and that will create my result. That is a thought error, because our thoughts actually create our results, not our actions. Our thoughts create our feelings. Our thoughts fuel our feelings. Our feelings drive all our actions and inactions. So to create a different, taking us taking different actions, we need to go to the thoughts and find out what are our thoughts. Another example about thought errors is we might be thinking that, for example, knowledge is the key to power. Like, we just need to know things. Knowledge is powerful. The more knowledge I have, the more of the result I will create. And what this will do is have my clients take a lot of what we call passive action. Passive action is reading another book, watching another podcast, listening to another YouTube video, taking another training. It's all a lot of action. Yes, you are learning things, but knowledge does not create the results that we want. Knowledge just provides us with thoughts and information. And what needs to happen is we need to feel the feelings and take the actions that those are driving. So I might know that being vulnerable and really feeling my emotions is the key. It's one thing to know that, but it's another thing to really sit and take the action of feeling my feelings and take the action of being curious of what those feelings are here to teach me. And then take the action of putting the work that I might have a desire to go and help somebody and actually help that person. And so being able to identify what are our current thoughts that we're having, which ones are errors, which ones are not creating the results that we want, and replacing them with thoughts that are going to fuel different feelings and thus different actions and inactions. The other thing that I noticed that creates a lot of struggle for my clients and has them working longer and harder than necessary is they're not aware of what actually creates our results. Society teaches us that our actions create our results. You have a big dream, you take a ton of action. And so we've done that. We've done that before, especially for women who I work with who have created a lot in their life. They've taken a ton of action. And so they're convinced that the action creates the results. However, what we want to identify is that our thoughts are what creates our results. The thoughts we're having will always show up in the results. And I can tell what my clients are thinking by the results that they're creating. And so we want to be aware of what are our current thoughts, our current feelings, and our current actions, because those are what are creating our current results. And to get different results, we need to understand that where we need to make changes is in our thoughts and in our feelings. Our thoughts and our feelings create a very different energy in the world. And they either attract people to us or repel people to us. And so I was thinking about this, my audience. And one of the thoughts that I had that I wasn't even aware of until I did this work on myself was I thought my audience was non-existent. And so when I sat back and I questioned that thought, that was showing up in my result line. And so what I started realizing is they are around, and I visualize, for example, a street, like in the middle of New York City, a street in the corner, I'm standing there, I'm sharing this valuable information, and they're walking by. They exist. I just haven't told them and shown them the value of stopping and paying attention to what I have to help them with, paying attention with the valuable knowledge I have and how it will impact them, showing them how they are working harder than they need to be working, and showing them how to think different thoughts, feel different feelings, and take the actions that's going to guarantee the results that they want. So being aware of what creates your results and your goals is such an important thing, because we can spend our time and energy on the places that will make the impact. The last part, and this is just, I just shared with you 6 things. There's so many more out there. And so I'm going to continue sharing with you these and sharing with you how you can rectify these so you can think different thoughts, different feelings, and thus take different actions and guarantee the results that you want. The last one is mind management. I've shared with you over and over and over again the value of our thoughts. Our thoughts come from our mind, and our mind will have 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day. And left unsupervised is like a toddler with a knife. It will be destructive. And so I like to use the example of a dog. The dog's going to be busy regardless of what you're doing. The dog's going to find something to do regardless of what. It's going to be busy. It's going to drain its brain. It's going to process things. It's going to chew on bones and sticks and all sorts of stuff when it doesn't have an assignment. And the key of learning how to manage our mind is like giving our brain an assignment, like giving the dog an assignment. For me, this hit home today, especially when I have a dog. She has seizures. She has very high energy. Walking her sometimes is hard because she's always pulling me. She wants to run. She wants to do a lot of things. And today, for the first time, I decided to put a bag on her. And on the bag, she gets to carry her own water, her water dish, her water, her poop bags, and everything, and water for everybody else. And the minute I put it over her, it's like her brain snapped and her brain calmed down. Like she knew she had an assignment, and she had a very important assignment. I was able to put the bag on her. I was able to clip it properly, and we had the best walk. She's about 7 or 8 years old. I had the best walk I had with her because she had an assignment, and she was calm. And she really, when she came home, I noticed she slept deeper than any other time, because she's always been like running and chasing balls and doing all sorts of stuff. And this solidified for me the value of managing our mind, giving our brain an assignment. So in the examples I shared before about, like, for example, thought errors, our brain will go to work and create thought errors. But when we give it an assignment by how we manage our mind to find how, for example, how emotions are the catalyst to really growing and evolving and creating our goals. How, for example, with belief, we already will believe things, and our brain will go create proof and evidence to solidify that belief. But when we give it an assignment to go create new beliefs on purpose, to go gather proof and evidence on purpose, our brain will go do that for us. And so mind management is learning how to manage your mind and manage the 80,000 thoughts that we have a day. Manage what happens when we experience, for example, mind trauma. Manage, for example, when we experience an emotion. Manage how we deal with that. Manage what creates a goal, or even giving it an assignment to go create a goal. And so once we learn how to manage our brain and identify that mind management is such a pivotal step to creating our goals, we will be able to create our goals so much faster and so much easier without working harder or longer. And so, for example, one of the things that maybe a person might think that to create the goals that they want, they need to be a perfectionist. They need to double, triple, quadruple check what they're doing. And then they might think that to create more of the goal that they want, they need to take more actions, which means they have to double, triple, and quadruple check even more things. And so even the thought of that is having them daunted. And so they might decide, I need to hire somebody to write my, for example, copy, or I need to get assistance from somebody to write, who already writes copy for me. And then they do more of the things. But when they realize that the key is identifying the root cause of, for example, the perfectionist thinking. Why are you steeped in perfectionism? How can you rectify that? And how can you accept that maybe B- work is what you need to do? Or how do you manage your mind when your brain wants to spend time in perfecting things? How do you show up in your life and in your business when things are not perfect in the world? How do you manage your mind when you put a B- work out in the world, and then, or you put something out and you realize you misspelled something? How do you manage your mind through that? And so the key to that is identifying that our thoughts, our feelings fuel all our actions, which create the results that we want. And so when we learn how to manage our thoughts, we can create any goal we want without working longer or harder. And so I help my clients make more money without working longer or harder by identifying what is the root cause of them working harder or longer. What is the current pattern that has them working harder or longer? And so what happens is when my clients clean this up, they're not only able to take actions that they've always wanted to take and create the results that they want, they know how to do it in the future and go to the root cause of creating their goals. Go to seeing, okay, this is my pattern. This is what happens when I experience an emotion. This is what happens when I go for a big goal. This is what happens when I experience thinking errors, and being able to understand that, oh, the way to rectify this is by my thoughts, how I manage my mind, or I don't normally believe in myself. This is what happens. And so we can solve for the root cause of the problem a lot faster and create more of the result that we want. Sometimes it's a misconception. Some people will think that I will say that you don't need to take a lot of actions. You can take a lot of actions, but when you are, for example, feeling inspired and motivated because of how you manage your mind, you might take 2, 3, 4 times the action and create more of the result that you want, but not from a place of pressure, but it's from a place of desire, love, and belief. Very different energy, which also, like, I might be standing in the corner of the street in New York and feeling defeated and not say anything to anybody, and I will be very exhausted, versus I believe that these audience is here to hear me, and I might now start sharing my information and talking to them and asking them questions and interacting with them. More actions, but because of my thoughts, my feelings, which the second one will guarantee that people will know that I can help them and how I can help them. If you're ready to create more money without working any harder or longer, I can help you. You're a member of this group. Every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, I go live and I teach a concept like this, and then I coach you live. So feel free to join me then, because once you even clean up even one of the things that I taught you, you will guarantee more of the results that you want. You will guarantee that you're not working harder or longer. And so thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you, and have a very, very blessed day. Bye-bye.